And now for the color I'm most excited to play, white. We will start with the Mechas. Dual Gun Mech Lord Dyna is a really cool card that encourages an aggressive strategy. In white, a naturally defensive color. 3 stars. Jokes aside, I do think there's potential here. Being able to combo Dyna with the magic card Regain can lead to an out-of-nowhere win. I just don't think a strategy like this can work in a world where Absolute Ice Shield is a card. I'd love to be wrong on this one though, because a deck revolving around Dyna sounds like a lot of fun. A good card to pair with it is Fortress God Knight Odin Type X, also 3 stars. Making this unblockable and proccing its bounce effect once or twice is a nice tempo play. The Mecha deck just needs more spirits like this to make Dyna worth it. And then you have Infinity Mothership, a nexus that rewards you for playing mechas by ramping you every turn. Because you need nexuses for Dyna's effect, this will, of course, be included in that deck, but I don't think it's worth playing in a non-mecha deck, so I will give this 3 stars. Sky Dragon Lord Platinum, 4 stars. This is White's answer to Whiteboard, so it'll at the very least be seen in all of White's side decks. Gun Knight Heavy Barrel and Heavy Tank Curiosity are 3-star cards that will be in the mecha deck. Type 90 Tank Mobile, 1 star. This card is a little too expensive for something that doesn't do enough, even for the mecha deck. And then the 3 vanillas. Mobile Golem is a 1-star card because it's just a bad vanilla. Satellite Falcon is a 3-star for being a good mecha vanilla. Automatic Gunner is a 4-star card for simply being the 1-cost white spirit. Then we have the Machine Beasts, which is the deck I think will be the best white deck. This ultimately centers around the starter deck X-Rare, Divine Moonsky Beast Fanatec Elk, and I'm giving this 4 stars. Unfortunately, at best, I think this will be a tier 2 deck. The Elk's effect gives it nice lingering protection that only procs when you block. And that's the problem. It's way too easy to play around this kind of effect. While I love the idea of just sitting on an elk in a dream, the opponent isn't just going to sit there and take it. They're going to have stuff like Dream Bomb, like Zigworm Nova, like basically all of purple. I love the idea behind this card, I just don't think it's as practical as what red and purple can do. Then you have Mecha Beast Fortress Namon Guard, and while I'm talking about it, I might as well throw in the Nexus Namon City. I think the best version of the Elk deck is going to include some number of these cards, which is why I'm also giving them 4 stars. Namon Guard is such a cool card that gives you so much advantage when it's destroyed. And the Nexus not only helps in getting the big elephant out earlier, it also helps with getting out Fanatec Elk. And then there's Dinosaur Harrier Turbo Rex. 3 stars. I think there's an argument to be made for a control deck revolving around this card. Its first effect can force some awkward situations and make sure the opponent has a harder time building up a game-ending board. But I don't think it's quite good enough. This card asks you to have another big spirit, otherwise you risk Turbo Rex dying in a battle you yourself forced, and its ascent cost certainly doesn't help. And if I'm being honest, this card is just hard to evaluate without playtesting it myself. I see potential in it, but I can't see it being a meta contender. Pegasusion, 4 stars. This is just a good card. It's a bit smaller than I'd like to fully take advantage of that second effect, but otherwise it's a solid choice for an early game spirit. Hollow Beast Glassbear, 4 stars. It's early game ramp. Enough said. Stream Otter, 4 stars. This card is deceptively powerful. Being able to put up, essentially, a 5k or 7k body on your first turn is very strong. It is susceptible to a lot of different kinds of removal, but I think you play this despite that. Mecha Winged Duck. I want to believe in this card so badly. I just don't think we have enough good bouncing cards to fully take advantage of this card. 2 stars. I know people will try to make this work, but I think it's too early for this duck to soar. Gray Armor, 2 stars. While not strictly worse than Pegasusion, it is worse than Pegasusion. Mecha 1 star. Too expensive for what it does, and there's a better card in Canon Beast Mech Liomale, 3 stars. This is primarily a side deck card against yellow, and for that, it's decent. You also have Buster Fenrir Cannon, 3 stars. Again, very strong side deck card against yellow. And then the 3 Machine Beast Vanillas get a 1 star. I will note that Raccoon Guard actually has a good level 2 stat to cost ratio, but there are just better things to be doing on turn 1. And now for the miscellaneous stuff. Armored Dragon Ship Enterprise. This card is so good alongside Fanatec Elk and Turbo Rex. It is also extremely expensive, and for that, I'm giving it 3 stars. There's no denying that this card is great, but the Enterprise is not a win condition by itself. Valkyrie Mist. I talked about this card in my top 10 white cards video, and I think I underestimated it. This card is so good for all white decks, I'm actually going to give it the 5-star treatment. I think it's that good. Bouncing a spirit while also putting down your own spirit is such a good tempo play, it can win games for you. If white is to be good at all in the first format, this card is going to be a big reason why. Snowflaken, 3 stars. A good side deck card against red and purple. Getting it to level 2 is expensive, but I think it's worth it. Buffalon Bill, 2 stars. Cool build-around card, but that's all it is. Frosttree Goddess Air, 3 stars. A decent ramp option for white. It does fight for deck slots with other early game cards, which is why it doesn't get the 4-star treatment. Iceblader Bridget, 2 stars. It's a little too expensive for what it does. I think some people will try it, but beyond that, it's not good enough. Cool art, though. Head Snow Librarian Saga, 1 star. Kind of an interesting turn 1 play going second, but that's all it is. There's better stuff to be doing. Also, cool art. Head Ice Maid Fola, 3 stars. Good side deck option against purple. King Herald, 1 star. It's just a bad card. Ice Maiden Mach 2, 1 star. Being the only spirit with yellow armor doesn't necessarily make you a good card. And the last 3 vanillas I'm giving 1 star. Yes, even Bullet Ray. I recognize its level 2 is good stats for the cost, but white already has Stream Otter, so it's just not good enough. Spring of Norn, 1 star. I think this card is a meme, and nothing more than that. If white gets more good vanillas in the future, maybe it'll be bumped up to a 2-star rating. Heaven Piercing Castle, 2 stars. I think it'll see experimentation in the Derm Dyna deck, but outside of that, it's just not good enough. Rocket City, 3 stars. This is a Nexus that the Derm Dyna deck will play. It's cheap and has decent effects. Forest of Steel Leaves, 2 stars. Similar to the castle, it'll see experimentation in the Derm Dyna deck, but I don't think it's good enough to see consistent play. Suppression, 4 stars. This card is great. It's probably going to be a staple magic in white decks. Protection Aura, 1 star. It's not strictly worse than Suppression, but it's worse than Suppression. Dream Blizzard, hesitant 1 star. While I recognize the importance of Nexus removal, I don't think this is good enough. If it didn't bounce your own Nexuses, I might have rated this higher. Regain, 4 stars. It's the reason Derm Dyna will be any good, and is just an overall solid Magic card. Speed round for the burst cards I talked about in a previous video. Dream Bomb, 4 stars. Counter Sword, 4 stars. Holy Elixir, 2 stars. And Absolute Ice Shield, 5 stars. If you couldn't tell already, I think white is going to be the weakest of the 4 colors released in Dawn of History. With the exception of a select few cards, white as a deck is going to struggle against the meta contenders of red and purple, especially purple. Despite that, I'm still very excited to play with white, and am looking forward to being surprised by these cards. If you haven't already, click the links in the description to watch the other rating videos, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss my rating video for yellow. Until next time, laters.